So it is finally time for Revolver Varis' unlock event in Duel Links, bringing Borlow Dragon via the skill. Of course, it's coming in the mini box, coming on the 31st or the 1st if you're in Japan. And overall, of course, this event is going okay so far, right? Reward card wise, we've got two very good cards. We've got the Furious Dragon, which we'll see play in a ton of decks, and also the Silver Dragon, which will be a 2 of, maybe a 1 of, in some builds that are mainly playing the Tracer quick launch engine. Things like Rose Dragons can play it, Orcus can play it, so Revolver is going to be a very important character going forward for a ton of decks on the rank ladder. But of course, how good are his skills, how good are his brand new cards? As always, let's dive right in, starting off with the cards first of all. At level 3, we've got the Sniffer Dragon. This is the worst card he probably has. If it's summoned, add 1 to hand from deck, once per turn effect, it's not very good. But he did use it in the show, so it does make sense. Then at level 7, we've got the Magna Rocket Dragon. This one is a bit better. When a link targets this card, pop this card, then send a monster on the field to the graveyard. I believe it's non-targeting as well, so that's doubly good. But the problem is, at the moment, Rockets, they can't really use that whole link popping effect super well. Right now, you've got Borreload, you've got your Topologic Bomber Dragon, and that's kind of it. And there's not too many middle ground options to get these guys off. And so the better effect will be the end phase effect, which is just going to float into a rocket from your deck if it's destroyed this turn, which is going to happen with quick launch, with the fusion spell, and just in battle in general. Probably a 1 or 2 of. If you're playing pure rockets, then it might be a 3 of, but in the more engine focused builds, I don't think you see this one see play at all. Then we've got at level 10, Quad Borrow Dragon, our resident link monster for VRAINS characters. 2 dragon types including a rocket, which is plenty fine. Discard 1 title monster on the field, and you get to pop it. And if it's a link monster, you just summon rockets from your hand or graveyard equal to its link rating. So I think you won't be getting that effect off all too often. You can also pop your own cards, right? It's kind of the thing, right? Is you summon this, you then go and pop something like your Magna Rocket Dragon, you get some removal, then is a rapid trigger. Now, Borrow Furious Dragon is basically a boneless DPE from Master Duel in Duel Links. It is the kind of equivalent card to that. And this fusion summons by blowing up cards on your field, so it does trigger the rockets in the end phase, which is fantastic, but also it makes it unaffected by effects from any other special monster. Gonna be pretty good. So links can't work with it, Exceeders can't, Synchros can't. It's just a very good card in general. Now, Furious Dragon is not the hardest card to deal with, but this does make it a little bit harder, and it does restrict it from only attacking monsters thus summoned from the extra deck. So in that sense, it nerfs the card, but since Furious Dragon is your main target for this, and it has that quick effect pop, then it's so much better than you kind of expect. And I think that'll be it, right, for Revolver's cards, right? Then we've got Sniffing Dragon, number 2, second Magna Rocket, we've got our second Fusion Spell, our third Sniffer Dragon, third Magna Rocket, our second of our Quad Borrow Dragon, and then finally, at level 30, is Mirror Force Launcher. This, of course, was a card he used in the show, discard a monster, and a Mirror Force from deck graveyard to hand. So it is a continuous recursion for Mirror Force. It's a 4-fun card. You're not going to see this play too much on ladder at all, right? It does give you more than 1 Mirror Force technically, right? So getting around that limit 1, which is cool. But given you can't play Mirror Force alongside the Bomber Dragon, it is kind of a bit weird for Revolver in particular, given it's more anime focused. And if this set card is destroyed by opponent's card effect, then you can just set a Mirror Force from your hand, deck, or graveyard. As a 4-fun anime reference, it's fine. Overall card-wise, Revolver I think is like in between Kite and Yuto, right? I think Yuto was incredible. Kite for the time was incredible. Revolver is kind of similar for pure rockets, right? For the overall rocket engine, his cards aren't all that great, but for playing pure rockets, they're pretty good. So overall, thumbs up. Now, of course, on to the skills, the big part. And of course, first of all, is Blasting Borrow, the default skill. At the start of the duel, get a Borrow Dragon. If you're live for 3000 below, either add a mini Borrow or Quad Borrow to extra deck. This is functionally useless unless you just don't want to run Quad Borrow. So, Then for generics, he's got Beatdown, nice to kind of see. He's got Peak Performance, okay, so only Kybra and Varis have this, that's nice. He's got Link Booster, which is not a great skill either. Draw Sense Dark just makes sense. And then for his exclusive stuff, we've got Anti-Glare Shield. This is god-awful. Running a skill that requires your opponent to be running a certain type in a metagame that's so diverse is not great. Now, if this was in the Blue Eyes metagame, then I could kind of see it being worthwhile, and it is a skill that works in your opponent's turn, but you do need to trigger it yourself, right? So it's not all that fantastic. Then we've got Borrow Booster, which again is the generic default plus 200 skill. It's not very good. You're not going to play this one. Then we've got Link Booster. Again, not going to play this one. We've got Power Attacker, which I thought was new, but this skill was available via Playmaker, I believe as a mistake, because on DLM already, as a skill via him. So it wasn't in the leaks because it was a skill already in the game, and this skill doesn't make sense to me, right? The level 5 or higher does make sense. Kraken Dragon. The Link 4 higher makes sense. Brawler Dragon, Brawler Sword Dragon, Gunblower Dragon, etc. The rank 5 or higher Xyz doesn't make sense because his main Xyz, the X-Charge Dragon, was a rank 4. Doesn't make sense for Varis, but it's a skill you wouldn't see play anyway. You just wouldn't play it at all. Then we've got Rocket Reload. If there's 3 kill life points left, send to Rocket Shat's graveyard, add a Brawler Generator. This is not all that fantastic of a card. And of a skill, also not that fantastic. Then we've got Tuner Rocket, which we can't really use right now because there's no Savage Dragon. But we can make Stardust Dragon, we can make Slapdash Heartblade, Scrap Dragon, etc. So there's kind of a use. Target rocket control, it becomes a tuner, and you can only play it in a 4 rocket deck. So if we get Absolute Dragon or Mortar Dragons, you can't play this skill. But you wouldn't anyway, because we've got Tracer Dragon, we've of course got the Quick Launch. Those two cards work together anyway to just make your big level 8 synchros. Then we've got In the Name of the Hanoi, which is a big beefy skill, and it works depending on the turn order you use it in. So on the first time you use it, if you summon Kraken Dragon, you just play without tributing, which is pretty cool. It's kind of like a better Slifer, in that when your opponent summons a monster, they then lose attack points times their levels. Of course, on links, doesn't work by much, but it does also do burn damage, so that's kind of cool. Second time around, return 2 darks in your hand to the deck, then add a Hackworm and a Jack Wyvern. The idea, of course, is to summon this, then you summon this, banish these 2, summon back a Kraken Dragon. The only problem is that this can be special summoned if your opponent controls no monsters, and if they've destroyed Kraken Dragon, then this won't be live, so I don't really get it. Third time on, Kraken Dragon gets 300 attack points. I assume it stacks. No, it doesn't stack at all. Okay, of course it doesn't. Maybe there'll be some insane Kraken Dragon deck that works really well. I will kind of try to see if I can work it out. It seems like a cool skill, just the second part doesn't make too much sense to me. But the best skill, of course, is his level 20 drop, which is Borrow Launch, and I'm surprised this one was given for free. Like, there was no grinding required. They could have easily done that, and he would have done it because this is a very good skill for the moment. At the start of your 13 onwards, you put a Dillinger's Dragon in your graveyard. This, of course, will be useful for going into something like Borrow Dragon. When a rock is special summoned, when it's in the graveyard, you summon it back out, you've immediately got a Link 2 on board to go for a Link 3 or a Link 4, which is fantastic. In addition, once per duel, if you've got a rocket on field, send a card in hand to the deck, any card, set a boot sector launch from your deck to your field. This card is insane. I think the second effect of like special summon rockets from your graveyard is going to be a lot worse in this game than it is in TCG, because most of the time in Duel Links, right, you might be ending on one monster per side of the field. And so getting one summoned for free from the graveyard is kind of nice, but they will pop this card anyway. So I'm not too sure. Of course, the summoning 2 rockets from your hand is fantastic, because then you still get normal summon, you still got, you know, the whole Tracer combo as well, so that's good. But you are locked into Dark Dragons, you must have Borrowed in your extra deck, and you must have 9 rockets, which is fine. That is going to be met immediately. And of course, we have Storm access like Playmaker if you're alive for 1000 or below, randomly add 1 Bomber Dragon, or Trisbina, or Gumbler, or Zeraboros to your extra deck. This is fine for the moment, right, just being able to play these powerful cards at random. It does kind of suck there's no choice, because sometimes you might really want to see the Trisbina, you may not want to see the Bomber Dragon. Still been pretty cool to see Gumbler Dragon being summoned, even if its extra linking effect has been removed. Still pretty cool. Overall, Revolver, skill-wise, is pretty good. You know that there's some stinkers, right? But there always is. But there's no tickets in level ups, which is great. Please, going forward, do that more. I love it. Card-wise, again, for Rockets, pretty good. For the overall Rocket Quick Launch Dark Dragon Dragon Link engine, not the best reward cards to that, but the mini box, of course, will make that C play. And I think it's going to be a very fun character. And one we're going to kind of see grow over time, of course, with more links and the Xyz cards eventually, and Savage Dragon, and more skills. And of course, we know there is no Mirror Force, Imperial Order, Cylinder skill, which is going to be coming, I guess, with the rerun. That might coincide with Magic Cylinder being in the box. Just kind of makes sense to me. But overall, Rocket, Varis, Revolver is very, very good. So, good job. And that is my review overall for Revolver. Very positive for once, as opposed to Garag last month, which was not very good at all. Revolver, Varis, good job. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next Duel Links video. See you then.